Hey, Chris. Thank you so much for turning around the Pal Tech mercenary delivery service, I guess. That's kind of one of the things we're looking at. So I thought I'd just give you a little bit of feedback here because sometimes speaking it is a little bit easier. So one of the things right off the rip is that right now our let's see here, add a layer, just do that. Is that these guys don't fit. So um, these are the in-game assets. So what we need to do, if you would please, let's give ourselves a little bit more space. I bet you we can essentially we can reduce the heavy framing a little bit, just a little bit, and we can definitely pull. We can reduce the, I think the top a little bit. Maybe leave the bottom, but we basically need a little bit more room for these guys to breathe. I really like the way that they feel in game. So yeah, so let's do a little more design surrounding that. You might be able to expand it in the texture. I'll let you figure that out. You know how to do that. So, so that was that. And that was the increase vertical and reduce heavy framing a bit. Yeah, so I think the framing is a little heavy still, maybe in the design, and by that I mean let's see here, layer 8, get up there, and by that I think it's part of these frames are just a little bit, little tiny, little chunky. I don't think we have to go super thin, but they're not quite working yet. The other thing with this too is it came down to our old friend, because we're not quite there yet, but we should be thinking about that in terms of concepting, right? So again, I think that we should, these elements are good, right? I think these are good. We're not quite there yet, but in terms of mechanics and machinery, and then the lettering's pretty good here too, which I really like, right? And then the other side of this too, so just like we did with the Paltech police cruiser. So what I'm thinking, right, is that we have transparency. So this whole area here is transparent, so that we can see through it both ways. Now, the other side of this is that I imagine that these troop transports also are doubling as advertising vehicles. They cruise around the city. Sometimes they deploy troops, but Paltech makes sure that your protection, if you need mercenaries, is definitely there. So we basically have these hollow bits, right? And then what happens is, cheese whiz. What happens is, la 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 la. 1 second. Man. All right, let me just download it again. Do 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 do. Probably just save images. Go over here and over here. Put it there. Go here. All right, cool. Here we go. Excuse me. I think I'm coming down with a cold a little bit. All right. So the way these guys look in game. Close enough. All right, cool. So what I'm thinking is that I'm going to size them down a little bit because these are a little bit smaller. Is that it kind of looks like something like this, right? There we go. So you get the silhouettes of these guys, the inside of the troop transport. And then what happens is that they actually step through this force field wall. They kind of get maybe they get teleported in, kind of thing. That's kind of what we're using. But that also means that I want to have a little bit of noise of seeing through the troop transport with these materials. This followed with this, and then we have the silhouette of these guys that are inside. So that's the other piece here. So here, right now, I think so. These are forward facing. I'm thinking about more like subway cars or like cargo planes. So they're a bit more hollow. They've got a couple of handholds, and these guys, maybe there's some field portal generators. So then they open up these like singular these mini wormholes, and then they get they basically act as a focusing point inside the troop transport, and then they actually come they get teleported into where they spawn from. So that's sort of like the rough thinking that I was thinking there. So maybe that helps a little bit more. And this should be really light silhouettes, because the thing is we're going to have this as the main side of the advertisement. It's not exactly Hamster Spy, but it's a place for us to have these things. And what we're going to do is we can do these as separate assets. And then we can have, for variety's sake, we can have a couple different ones or whatnot, depending on where we're at in the city, what that looks like. So that's more of a implementation detail. So a couple other little things here. I think that let's use this display. Maybe it says PAL, maybe it says PAL Mercs. So and we should be thinking in terms of our sort of hollow projected lettering, which is really cool. And then, we need a little bit of, and we're not quite there yet, but we're getting there, right? So we need a little bit more of that, I think, of that detailing layers. So that's the next step for us. So I kind of like Palmerx, I think, the best. So, and I bet you we could probably pull this down a little bit, but let's design that in, again, another big advertising piece while we're working on the sketching here. Liked what you did with, I think, bringing these elements together. Let me take a look at my previous version. Oh yeah, I'd have to. Hey Chris, hey, it's me. That was just yesterday. Let's see here. There we go. Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, so I had these like funky light bits here. Yeah, so I think the challenge here, let's think about how we can turn these from mundane sketch-wise into some cool future tech, right? That's kind of what we did really well here, I think, with the PTPT cruiser, and we did with with a few of our other enemy types. Like the new screen. New screen is super cool. I think we're gonna have some good stuff there. We need to do a material pass on it, of course, but like the light that we have in the front, accents are pretty good. I think we should also, challenge-wise, we should think about these clamps. How can we sci-fi these things out a little bit more? What are their purpose? Is it, and it could be that maybe they're emitters that broadcast things out. It could be that they have a kind of a like a secondary function. Maybe there's something like some of these lights that we have, something along those lines. So, but I think we should squash them a little bit, think about their shapes, but I think we're pretty close. So, and then the other thing here is, I'm really a sucker for this right here. I think this kind of light beam with the cabling feels really good. So why don't we bring that design element, because this is our language of technology. Let's bring that design element into maybe around the trim of the bus or the transport. Let's think about a way to work that into the bottom carriage, and then we can go from there. Yeah, so maybe it's something like I don't know, like we can have something like that where it's we have these kind of trim bits. So I think that could be pretty cool. So right now we're a little bit brutal in the way that we're going about it, but like I think that yeah, you get the point here. So so maybe something like that. Yeah, I think that's the feedback. Okay. This time I will try to attach this thing correctly, something like that, because yesterday I missed attaching. I closed Photoshop a little too soon. Okay, cool. That's it. Thank you very much, and I'll talk to you soon.